Esther's been listening to us for a long time, and she knows how to focus her mind. And she knows the benefit of focus, and she knows the detriment of lazy thought, and she understands it all. But we offered some encouragement back in January. It was the first time that we were really emphasizing the vortex in this way. We encouraged a sort of daily ritual of basking before bed, appreciating when you wake up, doing some focus wheels, doing your list of positive aspects, and then rampaging. And Esther, something about hearing it that day made her decide that she was going to apply herself more deliberately. And so for about 40 days, she followed that process, and she got feeling better and better and better. And from being consistently in the vortex, she got higher and happier and higher and happier and higher and happier. And she reached a new understanding. She wants to be in the vortex because of how it feels, not because of what else it will give her. Yes, it will give her fortune. It will give her answers to every question. It will give her more groundbreaking books. It will give her incredible relationships with those like you. Everything that she wants will be provided by being in the vortex. But she wants to be in the vortex because walking around the loop in Del Mar inside the vortex is infinitely more satisfying than walking around the loop not inside the vortex. Every conversation from inside the vortex is meaningful and fun, while conversations from outside the vortex are annoying and too long. In other words, life from inside the vortex just feels good. So that was a definitive switch for Esther. She moved after that 40 days of feeling the consistency of the vortex from thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling to reaching for the feeling first. Instead of, I'm going to think more positive thoughts, she started saying things like, I love this feeling of clarity. I love this feeling of fun. I love this feeling of interest. I love how this feels. I love how this feels. She began talking in terms of how things feel instead of how things look, or how they seem, or how they sound. It's how it feels. Do you feel this music, she would say? Do you feel this music? Not, do you hear this music? Do you feel this? Do you feel that? Did you feel how that music moved you? Do you hear that clarinet? Do you hear it, but do you feel it? Did you feel what it felt like to talk to that person? Did you feel how sweet that dog is? Mm-hmm. Can you feel this air? Do you feel this world? Do you feel? It's how you feel. It's the being who I am. It's having the experience of what's out there from in here, where who I really am is feeling. You have these physical senses that serve you really well. But when you let the vibration of who you are radiate through those physical senses, that's feeling, you see. That's why emotion is the business of life. And when you get there, then you close the gap between not having things you want and having things you want so quickly. When you get into the vortex for the joy of being in there, rather than because you know that when you get in there, something else that you want will happen, then you take away the resistance factor. In other words, if you're outside the vortex without something you want, like money or a relationship or whatever, so you say, I'm going to do the processes and I'm going to get in the vortex so I can have those things I don't have. Feel the backlash? I'm going to do the process so I can get in the vortex so I can have those things I don't have. You keep ending up where you are. But when you say, I'm going to go to the vortex because it feels so good in the vortex, there's less of the backlash that holds you where you are. You go for the feeling of it, not for the ulterior motive of being different than you are. There's no possible way that you can, for a long period of time, positively desire something with the absence of resistance and hold yourself in that place of not having it. The laws of the universe defy it. So that's why we say, when you get this stuff, you don't need patience, because everything you want comes quickly. You can get in the back door easily when you realize that everything you want is because you think you'll feel better having it. Mm-hmm. So if you can feel better just in the idea of it, then there's no resistance, and now it comes quickly. And what happens to so many of you, you begin to discover that You wanted that and you wanted that and you wanted that because you wanted to feel good. And now you've got all of that. And now you don't feel good because you've got clutter. Here's the thing. You have desire for stuff because you think that you're going to fill a void with the stuff. In time, you begin to discover that the only thing that fills the void is alignment with who you are. We're not trying to talk you out of your stuff. Stuff's fun. It's just not what you're reaching for. You're reaching for alignment. You're reaching for the feeling. So maybe stuff makes you feel secure. Maybe stuff makes you feel successful. Maybe stuff makes you feel comfortable. There's a lot of stuff that's really comfortable. There's a lot of stuff that really enhances your experience. We're not trying to talk you out of your stuff. We just want you to admit, acknowledge is a better word. We just want you to admit, acknowledge is a better word. We just want you to acknowledge that everything you want is because you think you will feel better when you have it. And when you get over the hurdle that you can feel better even if you don't have it, now you can have it. Now you can have it, but it becomes less necessary. So that's what's really tricky. When Esther met Jerry, he had already come to the place that he didn't want a lot of stuff. And Esther wanted stuff. Esther wanted stuff. And now the more stuff they gather, the more she realizes that he had it figured out. But words don't teach. In other words, it's not stuff you want. It's comfort. It's clarity. It's alignment. It's exhilaration. It's passion. It's interest. What you really want is a passing parade of wonderful stuff through your life. That's what you really want. In and out, just like air. In and out, 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 in and out. You don't want security. You don't want to gather up a bunch of stuff and hold it to you and write your name on the bottom of all of it. And insure it and drag it around. You don't want that. What you want is a new idea that is out of reach, that you bring yourself into alignment. Because the moments in time from it being out of reach and you're recognizing that nothing is out of reach, and then those moments of you coming into alignment with it, that is the zest and thrill of life. That's the sweet zone right there. I want it. I don't have it. Not so sweet. I want it. I don't have it. I believe that I could have it. Sweeter. I want it. I don't have it. I believe that I could have it. It's coming to me. Sweet, 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 sweet. I've got it. Not so sweet. I want it. I don't have it. Not so sweet. I believe I can have it. Sweeter. I'm in alignment with it. Sweet, 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 sweet. I've got it. Not so sweet. The best of life is in the moving into alignment and claiming your new position and then reaching again. And the best of life is moving into alignment and then claiming your position and then reaching again. That's why you're eternal. You keep loving the reach, you see. It's not the getting there, it's the going there. Goals, like a certain amount by a certain time, can be beneficial unless they stir up doubt, and then they're not beneficial. In other words, the time frame is challenging your belief.
Yes.
So you can do two things. You can soften the time frame, which will soften the doubt, by saying something like, improvement is steady. Yeah. And there's no urgency about how much and when. And the only reason I said that is because I like to focus. In other words, you're just sort of letting yourself off that hook. We talked earlier about how when you give your attention to any subject, it activates a vibration within you. And continuing to do that causes a more active or chronic activation until it's not just an activated thought, it's a so often activated thought that it's easy to activate that thought. And that's when you begin to call that a belief. So once you believe something, such as it takes a certain amount of effort or a certain amount of time to accomplish a certain amount of things, once you believe something, because life has shown you that so far, when you challenge that belief with a new desire, sometimes those beliefs hold stubbornly. And that's why you have to bridge the belief.
Right.
So the way you bridge the belief is in the ways that we've just talked about here today. Just do anything that you can to make it feel a little better. And sometimes it's not holding yourself to something so strict. And sometimes it's just reaching for thoughts that feel better. But what happens is that in general, it's a good thing when you feel that resistance, because being able to identify that you have doubt gives you a reason maybe to do a focus wheel, or a reason to deliberately soften resistance. If you meditate earlier in the day before anything gets a head start, and a good way to do it is focus upon some sound like a condenser in an air conditioner, or a fan, or some white noise, or turn your radio on between stations and listen to the static, or something that has a sort of consistent sound that you can listen to that will distract you. It's like putting your brain on pause. And as you quiet your mind by distracting yourself, you could sit for 15 minutes and your mind could wander through most of it. And if you found 15 or 20 seconds of a quieted mind, you've served yourself really well, because during that quieted mind, you go into the vortex and you practice the vibration of alignment. These are the words that we most want you to hear. Whatever you're thinking about causes you to practice the vibration of it. But the vibration of who you really are, you don't need to worry. You don't need to worry that things are going to distract you from who you really are, because ultimately, we promise you that's not possible. Who you really are is a really powerful, pulsing vibration. And if it weren't so, you wouldn't feel so awful when you're out of sync with it. One time a woman said to us, "Abraham, I have a friend who's really negative and I'm really positive." And we acknowledged that she was mostly positive, but she said, "My friend is healthy as a horse and I've got all of these diseases. It's not fair what's going on." And we said, there are two factors. The power of your desire is one factor, and where you are in relationship to it's another factor. So if someone called you on the telephone and said, "Hello, you don't know me. I'm just calling to tell you I'll never call you again," you would say, "All righty. Thanks for letting me know. Goodbye." You wouldn't feel any tension about that. But if someone you cared about said that to you, you would feel tension. So the point that we're making with you is, as we talked about you hitting the ground running with all this fast-moving energy, is that your vortex is really spinning in a strong way. And when you get out of sync with it, you feel it more powerfully than someone whose vortex isn't spinning so fast, or someone who's not sensitive to the energy of it. So, it is our promise to you. You could not think enough negative thoughts to ever do yourself any damage. Are you hearing us? In other words, you don't need to worry, and you don't need to get it perfect. And this is the point that you're helping us make in the most powerful way that we've ever made it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 says, ask, and contrast is necessary for that. And so you've got to have some outside the vortex time. Our message to all of you is not get in the vortex and stay there. If that were your intention, you would be dead like us. That is not your intention. There is not dead. There's just life and more life and more life. But you get what we mean. You came to explore contrast so that you could put things there. Now we want to explain something to you that we think you'll feel. We think you've actually been feeling it. This is going to explain it. So, you know what you don't want, which causes you to know more clearly what you do want. And there's a momentary spike in that vibration. In other words, when you know what you don't want, you know for a moment, because the vibrations are going this way. We always demonstrate them this way, but on the sound file that Esther looks at, they go this way. So when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. There's a spike. Those spikes are captured and contained by source. So the drama that you've been living, or the intensity that you've been living, has caused you to put so much into that vortex that now you kind of have to live up to it, or you feel the discord of not living up to it. And that's what you were describing, a really accurate way of saying it, given what we've just explained back to you. Your words would have been something like, "Well, Abraham, I don't know how, because my life seems pretty normal, but I feel like I have a stronger desire than I can even really explain. And I don't know how to become a vibrational match to that desire, because I don't really know how it got there." And we say it got there because of the pre-intention that you had coming into this physical experience. And our